Well, we are back to school, but it's not back to normal. Today, we're talking with Sandra Lane, who's a professional organizer and productivity coach, to tell us how do we carve out a homework station that actually works at home. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today we are talking with Sandra Lane. We've had conversations with her before about organizing children's artwork and simplifying the holidays, and she's back for back to school. Sandra, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Shelley. Great to see you.
Absolutely, good to see you too, even though we don't get to physically be in person. That's a bummer, but one of these days very soon, I hope, we will be back together in person. But Sandra, you are an amazing productivity coach, a certified professional organizer. You are a speaker, an author, a founder of your company, Organization Lane. You are a busy gal.
But it's all fun, and it's all a wonderful way to help others meet their goals. And I take a lot of pleasure in doing that. So I love what I do.
We are so thankful to have you here. And I think that this is such an important topic for us to come to our viewers with. We're in the midst of some really crazy times right now. We're facing health concerns, and job schedules are far different than they used to be. And we're in this period of time of back to school, which normally would all be about, shopping and, finding the cute shoes and the cute outfit. But now we're really not even sure what back to school looks like. And so one thing I think I probably can say with some certainty is that we're probably going to have some form of school at home, whether it's, just a couple days a week, or whether we end up, unfortunately, going to all virtual. Every district is different. And so you and I were talking about, like, how on earth do we carve out space at home for our kids to do their homework, and should we do that? So thank you so much for chatting with us today about that, because I think it's a really timely thing to talk about. So I guess the first question would be, should we carve out space at home? I mean, some people are anticipating they're going back to school full time, but, do you think this is a wise thing for us to do, just to kind of be proactive and carve out space at home for your kids' school?
I do. Absolutely. Whether this is going to be permanent or semi-permanent, I think it's a great idea to give kids a place to call home when it comes to school. They have been displaced for the last several months, and they continue to be displaced and disconnected in some cases from classmates and their teachers. And having a place that they know is stable, that's theirs, where they can store all of their homework items and not have them strewn around the house searching for them. Yes. Something that offers them consistency and stability and, a place of belonging, essentially, is what you're really trying to create for your child. Rather than this sense of isolation. They have no place to go, which is what a lot of schools are telling kids right now, is that you can't come here, you're just gonna have to stay home. So let's make it as pleasant as we can for them while they're at home.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And so as we're thinking about tackling the idea of putting a space together for our kids, what should we really be sure to include in this space? And, if you're looking, like I'm looking around my house, like, where would I put my kids in their homework area? What should I be sure that it has?
Right. So first off, I think that we can make accommodations, thinking out of the box here, for any situation. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer here, so give me a little grace here. But the first thing that you're going to want to think about is the size of the space that you have available for your child. And based on that, then you can purchase the right size desk or implements for them to set up their physical workstation. So make sure it's not tight and cramped, but rather a little bit of roomy for them. Really important that you have a good, strong internet connection. I don't think I need to tell you that. If we're doing remote learning and there's multiple people in the house using the internet, this is the time when you want to make sure that you check with your internet provider that you've got the strongest connection possible, and make sure that their desk setup is in that space where it's the strongest. Good lighting is very essential, whether it's natural light or light that you bring in terms of lamps and task lighting. Very, very important. You don't want them to strain their eyes. They're going to be spending a lot of time sitting down at their desk. So I recommend a comfortable chair so that they can do that. Make sure that they have the necessary supplies within arm's reach. Normally these supplies would be at school, in their lockers or in their cubbies, backpacks, etc. But now they need to be home. So make sure that they have the right containers, and those containers are filled with the necessary supplies that they need. The younger they are, the more supplies they'll need in terms of crayons, markers, scissors, etc. But make sure that they're within reach and they're in the right containers. You know, one more thing I want to mention that they should also have is analog clocks. Start putting analog clocks up in places where they are spending most of their time. And what an analog clock is going to do is help build your child's sense of time awareness. Right now, we live in a digital age. They probably use their cell phone or their Apple Watch to tell time, which is all digital. And an analog clock with the hands on the clock allows you to see the passing of time and really get a sense and an awareness of how much 15 minutes really is. They can see the time move, right? And to that end, I'm also going to recommend this at this point. This is one of my favorite tools.
Yes.
It is called a time timer. You can find it at timetimer.com or on Amazon. And they have several variations of this. This is the small desktop version. But this is a great tool to use when you want your child to work in a specific block of time, maybe to do homework or reading or craft time. And what you can do is block out all the distractions. And typically, it's usually the phone is the most primary distraction. And you're going to let your child know that they don't have to be without their phone for hours, but rather just 30 minutes. We'll set the timer for 30 minutes. Now they can visually see how much time they have. They can watch the time slowly whittle away, and it keeps them uber focused on whatever it is that they're working on. And then the timer is a great indicator of, you know, stopping and starting. It's a great tool to use when you want to have kids clean up a room or get ready for bed. You know, this is how much time you have left before it's time for bed. I absolutely adore this product.
For schoolwork, it's really interesting because a lot of times they think, well, this is just never ending. You know, I have to do all of these math problems or whatever it is. But if they can see the time passing and then they know maybe they get a 5-minute break after that and breaking the day up a little bit, I think that's huge for them. I do. I really love that. I'm going to order one for my kids because that's for sure.
You know what you alluded to a little bit, Shelley, is procrastination, which we are all guilty of doing. And the time timer is a great tool for that. You know, you can just let them know you don't have to finish the whole project, which sometimes is the reason why we procrastinate. Just work for 15 minutes on this project.
Yeah.
And you set the timer and you can do that.
And then you know that there's a break coming. I think that's beautiful. That is. So, you know, you made a really good point about having everything on hand, you know, because I will say the one thing I did learn with quarantine and virtual learning last year is that if you don't have all your supplies in one space, you will spend far too much time, especially with little kids, running around looking for things. And it is such a waste of time. And then, you know, once their brains click out of school mode and they go into, I've got to find something mode, then they find 5 other toys they want to play with, and it's all lost. So I think that just taking the time now to organize and pull all of those supplies together is just really important. Really important.
Agreed.
Yeah. So let's talk for a moment, and I'm thinking about my own home personally, even. So I'm a little selfish, I guess, maybe in this, and that I'm going to get a benefit from it too. But what if you don't have a dedicated office space, or if you don't have, you know, a room that's just empty, waiting? Like I have room in my basement, but my kids don't want to go down there. So, you know, how do you carve out space if you don't really have a lot of extra space? So for those folks who have a smaller home or something like that.
Yeah, let's go over some potential options that will hopefully work for somebody. And I'm going to share my screen here because I've got some illustrations here to share, okay?
I'm excited for the inspiration.
All right, so this is the solution that will work for anybody, no matter what size house you have. This is a three-sided poster board that a child can decorate. And what this really does is it kind of creates this cubby-like feeling, you know, much like we also see in college libraries, right?
Yes.
And it's a wonderful tool to use in terms of blocking out any visual distractions for your child so that they can focus on what is right in front of them. They're not distracted by what mommy's doing in the kitchen or what they see outside the window. They are going to be a little bit more focused in a setting such as this. And this can be set up literally anywhere because you can put it on any table in the dining room or the kitchen.
I love that.
I took the liberty of doing a little searching online, and this is from Wayfair. This is a fold-out desk. What I love about it is the compartmentalizing of this desk. It's fabulous. So the implement of the desk hangs on the wall. It opens out to a flat surface. So it gives a nice sturdy workspace. It's got those little cubbies for you, and then it folds up to about the size of a picture. And it's about 3 inches away from the wall.
Wow.
So, worst case scenario, if this is not going to be a permanent fixture in your home, you can easily take it off, fill the holes, and paint right over it. But it's a great solution for, you know, being able to put away a desk workspace and still give your kid a home base.
Yes, I love that.
Everybody should have a corner in their home, you know, maybe move a plant aside and you can use a corner desk. This is also something that's available at Wayfair. It's a wide enough surface to work on and can fit in a corner. Go traditional with a school desk. These can be purposed for home use, right? You've got a little belly of the desk to hold school supplies and storage. These desks typically have the ability to change height depending on the height of your child, but talk about making your kid really feel at home
at school
while at home.
I love that. Absolutely.
Now, for those folks that might not have a workstation available, you can bring it to them. Any flat surface, a kitchen table or a kitchen bar counter, dining room table. Just set up all the supplies in a caddy or a rolling caddy and you can bring it to them.
I love that great idea.
Yeah, these are all great ideas for even storing those supplies that I mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
A floating desk can be put in somewhere without taking up a large footprint in the room. This is a great idea that I found on Pinterest.
I was going to say that has to be from Pinterest. That's so cute.
And then here's a hack from Pinterest again. You know, if you've got multiple kids in the house, what can you do to make it so that they don't distract each other? I love this idea because they're not necessarily seeing each other, but they're working in a similar space.
That is awesome.
And of course, you've got plentiful storage because you're utilizing the bookshelves. If you've got a closet, you like this one? Yeah, if you've got a closet somewhere, maybe you can relocate those items, even if it's just temporary, and create a desk space for your child to use. I
think I've heard the term cloffice, like a closet / office in real estate.
Shelley.
What's a new? I think it's a new thing because people are working from home. It's a cloffice, you know. That's funny.
I love it. If you've got multiple kids, you know, maybe you can use the side of a room. It doesn't have to be a lot of space outward in the room. This is just completely all along the side of the walls. And I love how they just use some, you know, milk crates for storage. This is
adorable.
Not too hard to do. And then if you want to go a little more extreme, you can transform your entire room, whether it's a dining room or some other room in the house, into like a homeschooling station. And, you know, get rid of the china and then, you know, pull out baskets of school supplies instead.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I mean, the hope is that obviously that this is temporary, you know, and I think it is. But if you are going to be virtual all year, I mean, there are plenty of districts right now that have already declared that we're going to be virtual this year. And so if you know that, this might be something you consider doing because you know it's not just going to be 1 or 2 days a week, or it's not just going to be, you know, hit or miss.
Right. Exactly.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for the inspiration.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. I also want to encourage families to think about what they can do to create or replicate that routine that kids will be missing from school. And that is, start and end time for school, but at home. Create a schedule for lunch breaks, stretch time, outdoor time, include chores. So, you can use a whiteboard to write up the schedule, a piece of paper on the refrigerator that lists the schedule for the next day. Kids really crave routine.
Yes,
and
we all.
Yeah, while they might not be getting it at school, we can certainly do our best to provide as much of that while they're at home.
Yeah, well, and I think that was kind of the last question I wanted to wrap up with was, how do we help them be productive at home? I mean, you're the productivity guru, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there. Keep their schedule the same,
Yes.
Or at least build out a schedule at home so that you have one.
Right. Yes. And do that as much as you can, I think is the best thing that you can do for your child. Getting them to bed with a regular routine, which families do anyway, but this shouldn't look any different just because they happen to be schooling from home now. Nothing should really change. I also like to encourage families to start that process a week before school actually begins, kind of get them into that.
You and I were talking earlier and saying, like, this is the longest spring break we've ever had, because we really have not gone back after spring break in March of last spring. So we really do need to start, I think, early in getting them back into those routines, getting them up, having them get out of their jammies, get into real people clothes, because you're going to school. This is what we're going to do, and starting them early. And if you are going back to school, at least part of the week, getting them used to wearing masks, getting them used to, doing packaged lunches and how do you open those packages and things like that. I think that's really important.
Right. Yes. And, I think it's a great idea if they pack backup masks in their backpacks too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think masks are probably going to be the new form of litter that we see in our culture. Yes. And they're just so easy to lose because they're so lightweight. And, it's not a huge investment. So putting maybe a few extras in their backpacks so they don't get sent home from school because they don't have a mask.
Oh, you're totally right. Or if they break one or something. Mm-hmm. I think it's also really important, when you're building that schedule and that routine and getting them into it earlier, I think about building in some break times. Think about building in a 5-minute break between activities, or like you were saying, they may not have PE in school, but like building in some time to take the dog on a walk or go outside and, run around for a few minutes. That way they know that, I get through this activity, but then I get some time where I can burn off some energy. And for little ones, like I've got a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, it is a necessity, Sandra,
right.
for them to burn that energy off.
Yeah. Well, how about including some chores? Having them help around the house. The school day at home is going to be a little shorter, right? Yeah. So how about building in some chore time? Just the whole idea of creating a schedule that they stick to is a great opportunity for learning for our kids in terms of time management. And we would be doing them a disservice if we didn't try to create a schedule for them to follow.
No, I totally agree. I think this might be a video that I myself have to watch a couple times, but for all of those of you who are watching, feel free to share this with a mom or a dad out there who's got kiddos going back to school, and how difficult it is. And I just want to thank you again, Sandra, so much for coming on board with us and giving us your wisdom and insight on all things organization.
Love doing it. Thank you so much for having me back, Shelley.
Absolutely. Tell our viewers, where can they find you?
Sure. So my website is organizationlane.com. Mm-hmm. My Facebook goes by the same name. My Instagram also goes by the same name. And my book, Ask the Organizer, is available on Amazon.
It's a good read, guys, and it's a quick read, so definitely would recommend it. So, well, thank you again, Sandra. I hope to be talking with you again soon.
I look forward to it.